That is from, yes, Toy Story 2. Go ahead, Kel.
Okay, keep your friends close. Oh, but your enemies closer. Michael Corleone from The Godfather. Oh, with that in mind then.
Oh, wow. You are my Godfather.
Part 2.
Enemies close.
Wow. It's not the plane, it's the pilot. We were just talking about this while we were eating.
Yes.
That's from Bradley Rooster Bradshaw. No idea what movie.
That's from Top Gun, and it's Maverick.
Oh, it's
the second one.
Yeah, Rooster. Oh, of course.
David Amber, what have you got there?
All right, hold on, the suspense here. Hasta la vista, baby. That's obviously from the Terminator.
Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
He looks like the Terminator. Okay, here we've got. Oh, I love this one, Ron. Do or do not. There is no try. Yoda, The Empire Strikes Back.
Which is the song that the Oilers would play after every goal. They're the first team to have a goal song, and it was The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I know the chronology changed with the Star Wars movies, but Empire's the second one released after the Powerhouse. And the theme of it all, you guys, is that those are all sequels. This is a sequel, but not just any sequels. They came after originals, which were acclaimed and considered brilliant movies. So that's the moral of the story. We're hoping for that with the Panthers and the Oilers. So, DA, you could carry on now with what you and Elliot are thinking.
Well, thank goodness you pieced that together, because I was not clever enough to piece all of that together. You mentioned sequels. Well, it could be a historic sequel when it comes to the Florida Panthers. They're looking to become the 8th team in the last 50 years to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. And, of course, what about the Streak Busters? The Edmonton Oilers, they're looking to end Canada's long drought. 0 for 7 in the last 7 Stanley Cup finals Canadian teams appeared at. And what about the history for Connor McDavid? Well, he'd like to follow in the footsteps of Wayne Gretzky. Of course, they were swept by the Islanders in '83. And then as a 23-year-old, he wins his first cup the following year against those Islanders. And we all remember Sid the Kid against Zetterberg in Detroit, losing in 2008. And the very next year, as a 21-year-old, Sid Crosby, look how young he is there, he wins his first cup. So Connor McDavid trying to follow in those two legends' footsteps with his own history. And Elliot, there's definitely a different vibe to this Oilers team this time around.
All you have to know about how different that vibe, Dave, is listen to the captain himself.
Connor, you are headed to the Stanley Cup final. How would you describe that reality?
Yeah, it feels like a dream. This year feels a little bit more normal, just been kind of status quo. It's been fun to be a part of. Hasn't been as emotional.
You'll remember these scenes from the end of the Stanley Cup final. They lost Game 7 post-game. Connor McDavid was supposed to go out and accept the Conn Smythe Trophy, but when he got into the room and he saw the faces of his teammates, that's what happened to him. He couldn't go out and accept it. McDavid said yesterday that this year has been a calm year for the Oilers. The fans and media might disagree, but he said no matter how it looked to you outside, we always felt we were on the right path in here. All business all the time, and that's why, Dave, everybody feels that there's no way where the Oilers lost the series last year, falling behind 3-0, is going to happen again.
And Chris Knoblauch said different year, different mood, and we can also say it's a different venue. And the Oilers looking for the home ice advantage and some little luck. We all remember the Lucky Looney from years ago. Well, what about this? Rogers stepping in, trying to help the Oilers have the best home ice advantage, going to the hometowns of Connor McDavid, Darnell Nurse, Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Stuart Skinner, Calvin Pickard, and grabbing some of the ice from their childhood rinks. And what do you know? It's been resurfaced here at Rogers Place. So there's actually going to be a little extra luck, hopefully, for the Oilers in this series as they look to end that incredible 33-year drought, or 32-year drought, I should say, of Canadian teams without winning a Stanley Cup run.
A lot of years, David, and in fact, I'm going to go back 43 years and tell you a little story again of history repeating. The Oilers were building something special in '82-'83, but they knew they needed a catalyst. What they got instead was a rattlist. Glenn Sather traded for Ken Linsman, Boston Bruin, the notorious rat in the NHL at that time. Isn't it funny that now their opponent, the Florida Panthers, are using the same playbook? They're going out to Boston to fetch a rat who's become a cat. A list. It sounds like Gene Principe. I'm stealing his thing here. Here's Elliot Friedman with that rat.
Boys, unreal performance. Marshy was feeling it tonight.
With Boston, you had Chara, Bergeron, yourself, just a great leadership group. How does the group here compare to those guys?
Yeah, it's obviously different. It's hard to really compare the leadership groups, the cores, they're just different, but they're great. And what you see when you walk in the group is it's like a team full of leaders. That's one of the biggest things that I was surprised about, and I was really in awe of when I came in. But when you watch their core, like, they are the guys, they're the first ones doing everything right every day. The way they prepare, the way they recover, they take care of themselves. So, you know, I'm not surprised that this team is built the way they are.
Who's the guy here that most surprised you, that maybe you didn't know, or maybe either you didn't like and you said, boy, great guy, or guy, oh, let's go with that one because you're kind of laughing.
All of them. There's a lot of guys that I just wanted to wring their neck. You know, and you get in the room, you like, even the first time I met Ekblad, he just walked over, he was like, this is so weird. That's all he said, he just shook it, he's like, this is so weird. He just looked at me, shook his head, and was like, I walked away. You know, we just had that interaction because we just had battled against each other so much. And he's probably one of the guys actually that I competed with a lot, and we were always going after each other. And I love him. Like, he's you know, probably one of the best buddies on the team now, and spent a lot of time with him. Just an awesome teammate.
Strap up, Forrest, strap up, baby. Hey, you swaggy.
Just the last couple here, have you thought about your future?
I mean, I have over the past months. I've thought about, you know, potential situations, but until you really know what options are, like, it's all theoretical. So I kind of parked all that, and I'm just, especially right now, just being in the moment and enjoying it. I don't want anything to take away from it, and just having fun. You know, after playoffs, you know, looking at it's going to come fast, but you know, there'll be a time and place for that. This is Hockey Night in Canada, so the question I really wanted to know was, could you ever see yourself playing in Canada? Anything's on the table. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to listen to anything. We'll deal with it when the time comes, and we'll see what the right fit is. You could get tired of us really fast. I don't know, I like you guys. You got donuts. Thanks very much, Brad. No problem. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
So good, Elliot. Thank you, Brad. Kevin.
Ron, well, the difference this year in the sequel is the Edmonton Oilers are the higher seed. So we are starting in Edmonton, game one. Last year, of course, starting in Florida. Oilers had a great game, but Bob had a better game. Tonight, though, in Edmonton, Canada's team, the Oilers, they're going to play in front of their hometown, home crowd, the country. There's a lot of energy in this building, in this country, in this panel, and it's impossible to ignore.
Well, incredible to see the athletes hitting the ice, and we already see the speed from Connor McDavid, and we have seen a focus and perhaps a calmness and a confidence we haven't seen. But for him, he's been such a big game player, career playoff points per game, behind only Gretzky and Lemieux. Let's look at his big moments from the last 12 months. The Stanley Cup final last year, 3 goals, 11 points, led his team back into the series, forcing Game 7. Then you look at the Four Nations face-off event. He's the one that delivers in overtime with the game-winning goal. All of this adding fuel to his confidence, to his belief in what he can accomplish. Let's look at the conference final. This was late in the second period of Game 5, where Dallas was attempting to make a comeback, and he delivers that goal to maintain the 2-goal lead. So, Kel, here's a player, if you look at the last year of his career, he has just elevated in the most important moments, and he has been on a mission. He's been talking about it since last summer. He says, all I want is to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, Jen, you showed the accomplishments, and as many as he's had, and we've all been thrilled covering him for all the years. I think you're right. I think he's the most driven and focused I've ever seen him, and that's saying a lot considering. Now, the other thing that's really good for Connor McDavid is that I think he feels so comfortable with the rest of his crew, with his teammates, that he knows they have the depth, so it doesn't have to just be McDavid and Draisaitl.
So how do you slow him down? Well, you got Barkov on the other team, the guy who just won the Selke Trophy, and you're probably going to try to use him as much as possible. Last year in the finals, Barkov did a pretty good job against him. You see, again, this is 2024 Stanley Cup Final. Barkov, you know, only 1 goal there. Bennett, when he was on the ice, so McDavid kind of had his way against him. Not so much against Lundell. But then you see again, you know, when they're in Florida, that was the first one in Edmonton, again, Barkov won that matchup 1-0. The thing is, I think with Marchand coming to this team, it flips this whole script for me. And all of a sudden now, Lundell's third line with Luosterainen and Marchand, that's a legitimate shutdown line. One of the best that we've seen in the last decade. I think Florida would love to have that line run against 97, and then you get Barkov against Draisaitl. But on home ice in Edmonton, they're not going to have that luxury, so they're probably going to have to use a combination of both guys. Barkov is definitely up for the challenge, though.
I agree, Kev. They'll probably have to use a combination, but I also think that third line with Lundell, so they are asked to shut down the top line of every team. But maybe the question should be asked, how do you shut them down? Those three guys have 34 points as a shutdown unit. That's incredible.
It is amazing. I think one thing, you look at the Edmonton Oilers and how they've gotten here. Yes, incredible play by McDavid, but the supporting cast has also been exceptional. You look at the play of Leon Draisaitl, 25 points in the postseason, only one behind McDavid. He had 9 points in the conference final. How strong he's been on the puck, how difficult it is to get the puck off him, whether it's his backhand pass. So you look at Nugent Hopkins, another player with 9 points in the conference final. Kel, you played close attention to how well he's seeing the ice, reading the plays, making outstanding assists. But I think for both these guys, the story a lot, how they've described it over the last couple of days, is what it means to them. I mean, this is a core group that has been working together for the past 10 years. They've had tough moments. They've talked a lot about experience, what they've learned from those moments, and doing this together with their closest friends. I do think for all of them, not just McDavid, but Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, there's a stronger belief than they've ever had before.
Biggest injury in this series, though, Florida's pretty healthy overall. There's a couple injuries to Reinhart and Tkachuk, but they're playing. It's Zach Hyman. He's the biggest omission from this series. So I look at Evander Kane, and I look at what he did last year in the finals in his only 2 games, no points, 13 minutes. But remember, he was banged up. He could barely skate. You know, we saw picture after picture and camera and shot after of him hunched over on the bench, going through pain. So he wasn't his usual self. Right now, he's healthy, Evander Kane. He hasn't played all season, so he's got a lot of gas left in the tank, and he's been physical. He's been scoring goals. He's been disciplined at the right times. They have their best version of Evander Kane, and I think he's going to fill in for Hyman and take over that role.
You think about other guys stepping up. I know Elliott mentioned in terms of Crosby and Gretzky when they won their first Stanley Cup. It was different guys that won the Conn Smythe, right? It was Malkin when Crosby won his first. It was Messier when Gretzky won his first. So other guys stepping up in those big times.
And the depth for Florida, you talked about Reinhart. Boy, did they ever catch a break with him not being out longer. We thought that was going to be a severe injury. And then Carter Verhaeghe. I mean, oh my gosh, is there a more clutch guy right now in the game than Verhaeghe? Whenever they need a big goal, he is the man that is up to the task.
So Reinhart and Tkachuk are the only 2 guys that didn't skate this morning in a mandatory practice. So they're banged up, but at least they're out there.
Whereas Leon Draisaitl did not. In fact, about 7 key Oilers took a break this morning, including Stuart Skinner. But here is the man who could be the Messier to Gretzky, Leon Draisaitl with G.
Leon, back in the Stanley Cup final, but starting at home, how much of a difference might that make?
Yeah, I mean, our crowd's amazing. It's nice to start off at home, of course. Later on in the series, it'll play factor, but right now, obviously the first 4, it's just 2 and 2. So excited to get going here.
Yeah, what are you nervous, excited, combination? What's Leon Draisaitl feeling with puck drop on the way?
Just excited, not overly nervous. There's going to be some nerves, of course, but yeah, just excited to get going.
Leon, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, the defense.
Well, Draisaitl should be excited about his defense because I think it's the best 60 they put together in the last few years, and they're balanced, they're deep. Ekholm getting back in the lineup last game in the conference final was huge because now all of a sudden he's not a fresh face in game 1 in the Stanley Cup final. He played pretty well. He stayed within himself. He's only going to get better as this series goes along. Playing with Bouchard, he's his anchor. Nurse Kulak in his second pairing. Kulak playing on the right side. He's plus 11. He's been unbelievable in the playoffs. And that third pairing, Wallman and Klingberg, I don't think anyone expected them to play that good. They're both on fire. They're both shut down. Waldman's dad's sitting right behind us tonight, and he came over and said hi and expects big things out of his son in this series.
Well, they're playing well. Oh, go ahead, Cal.
No, I just love that about he's in the stands.
So good. Well, the Florida Panthers are also feeling very good about their group of defensemen. You look at the pairs, and for them, it's not who they lost last year with Montour and Oliver Ekman-Larsson out, but it's who they still have. They've been led by Ekblad, and he's having a career best in point production in the postseason with 11 points on that top pair with Forsling. But then you look at Jones, Seth Jones, who's come in. He is averaging the most ice time of any Florida Panther player in the postseason. Mikkola playing perhaps some of his best hockey, his movement on the ice, joining the offensive rush. Then players like Schmidt that's come in and Kulikov playing their roles very well. This is a defense group. They love to join the offense. 15 goals combined for the defense group. And Schmidt said, you know, as a group, we say, hey, if we can just chip in at least one goal every game, the forwards can take care of the rest. So this is a Panthers team that likes to play a very aggressive, very assertive style, and the Florida defense like to be a big part of that.
Okay, we're going to go to the goalie battle once again. Skinner versus Bobrovsky. We take a look at what they did last year in the same final, 2014. And you look at the numbers, Skinner actually played a little bit better than Bobrovsky, although Bob gave up tons of... And Skinner, you know, he's a different goaltender than he was last year in the finals. He's talked about it. He said that, yeah, we're going to face each other, but I am different. And he talked about his mental game. And then for Bobrovsky, you know, here's the consummate pro. I think all goaltenders around the league understand how he gets ready for every game. And the one thing that I don't know if it's a trend, but we've kind of watched, he's giving up a few more rebounds. And Kevin, you and I even noticed in the morning skate today, I don't know if that's a thing or if he's even worried about it.
I just picture you as a baby every time you're talking now about goaltenders.
By the way, let me remind the truck, we've got one of Jen and David Amber. We'll show that a little bit later on. You as baby-faced analysts as well. Pretty good. Want to congratulate the referees. Wes McCauley is 11th, final Francis Charon is 3rd, Scott Cherry is 6th as the linesman, and Trent Canora his first, like Ryan Gibbons, who will make his debut on Friday.
All you can eat.
All you can eat! All you can eat! All you can eat!
Learn to recognize the signs of wingsanity. All you can eat wings, only at St. Louis.
I could ask. Yeah, I'll just ask.
Wondering about Ozempic? Just ask your doctor.
With the CIBC Smart Account, you can go back through your spending history, allowing you to see your money and make sense of it. See your money clearly with the CIBC Smart Account.
To build a truck like no other, we ask the tough questions. Like, what if intelligent power could take you further? Because greatness comes from daring to ask, what if? Get 0% APR and a $3,000 rebate on this F-150.
Say yes to sunshine with extra savings on dream vacations, only with redtag.ca. For a limited time, book your Air Canada vacations getaway with redtag.ca and save up to $200. Whether you're dreaming of white sand beaches in the Caribbean, Mexico, or Cuba, we've got the perfect escape for you. Visit redtag.ca or call 1-866-5REDTAG today for your exclusive promo code. Certain conditions apply.
Redtag.ca.
Made by Canadians for Canadians.
Hey guys, what can I get started for you today?
Bananas away, regular?
And I'll have the Rip Berry, but can I get vanilla oat milk? And I'll add spinach and ginger. And can I substitute the raspberries for strawberries? Also add the chia and hemp seed, and definitely have the power booster and the collagen booster. And can I get that blended twice?
Wow.
For Alicia, Custom Chaos? One of a kind.
You're one of a kind.
Booster Juice, freshly made your way.
You have something none of us have.
Audiences give How to Train Your Dragon an A.
Oh, okay! Choose the snow! It's working! Yeah!
It's one of the best live-action remakes ever. How to Train Your Dragon.
You ready?
In theaters June 13th.
I've never seen two kids eat so many cupcakes.
It's not that many. Oh.
They just keep handing me these.
It's fine. I'm getting them dinner stuff right now. Chicken nuggets, cucumbers, baby carrots. And done.
All right, let's go.
Before they see there's cake.
Are you joking? I just found a cupcake wrapper in my shoe.
Search spy movies.
Rogers Xfinity is here with the next generation of streaming. Now Keanu can spend more time watching all his TV.
Yes! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on!
All his streams.
What? You're so cute.
Even the shows Keanu can't help but love.
My list.
The best entertainment experience is here with Rogers Xfinity.
Men's clothing provided by Jack Victor.
Welcome back. As the official fuel of the NHL, Esso is proud to fuel Canada's love for hockey. Esso, dedicated to Canada's game for over 80 years. Rogers, Canada's home of hockey, is celebrating Game 1 with the Rogers Festival at the final back. Thousands of fans enjoying a pregame performance by Arkells. For Canadians, this isn't just a game, it's our game. Well, that was at the forefront and center of the Four Nations event. Matthew Tkachuk and his brother against Connor McDavid rears its head again in this final. Here's Matthew now.
Matthew, here you are again in the Stanley Cup final. And do you feel like imparting the way the Florida Panthers play hockey is most important in trying to win a second straight Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, we found a way to get back here. We believed in ourselves. We played hard. Fought through a lot of adversity throughout the year, throughout our 3 years, and 3 times back in the final, 3-time finals appearances is pretty good, but I know we had one bad summer, we had one good summer, so hoping for a good summer.
I want to ask you, last year at the end in the handshake line, I'm paraphrasing, you said to Connor, you know, we expect to see you next year. What do you think now that it is next year?
Yeah, it was a little different wording than that, but I get what you mean. Yeah, I just believe, you know, they were the hardest matchup we had last year. I'm sure they'd say the same thing about us, and both teams took care of business and nothing crazy happened. It's very likely that this could happen again.
All right, thanks for the words, and we got it straight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, crystal clear thinking at a moment like this. Amazing. Time now for Line Change, presented by Sports Interaction, where every game's your game, no matter where your loyalty lies. Scan the QR code and bet local on the homegrown bet of the night. Our parlay has a little edge to it. 1 or more goals from Sam Bennett, plus 1 or more points from Matthew Tkachuk and Evander Kane. Those 3 together pays plus 1,100. Wager $25. It pays $300. Scan the QR code to find tonight's homegrown bet of the night. David, to you.
All right, well, Ron, we're expecting a hugely physical series as well. In fact, Oilers out-hit Dallas in every game in the Western Conference Final. Florida, 40-plus hits 14 times this postseason, and they certainly have the personnel in Florida to drive their opponents crazy out there.
There's no question about that. They are disciplined. They play great defense. They stick to what they do well, and one of the things they do well is they are mean. They intimidate opponents. They overpower opponents. They yak at opponents. They don't back down from opponents. And they attack as a pack. If something bothers them, they make a point of letting you know about it. Even going back to Tkachuk and Aho, they were upset about Aho's hit on Sam Bennett. What did they do? They chased after him. Now, I do think there's a thing here for Edmonton that's different than last year. Chris Knobloch talked about how Evander Kane could not be a physical opponent last year. If you go back to 2022, do not forget about the role he played against Matthew Tkachuk in this series. Calgary won Game 1, and Edmonton took over the series. And one of the things the Oilers talked about, and you'll see it at the end of this pack, was the money gesture that Tkachuk made to Evander Kane. They said that made Kane mad, and he took Tkachuk out of the rest of the series. I think the Oilers players are hoping that a healthy Kane can have the same effect on Tkachuk now that he did 3 years ago, Dave.
Ron, 3 surgeries for Kane, says hasn't felt this good in 8 years, so we'll see what that means.
Thank you, men. Tonight's money line has the Oilers favored to take Game 1 on home ice. You can bet every game with Sports Interaction, Canada's homegrown sportsbook. Team that wins Game 1 of the final goes on to win 65 versus 20, so 76% of the time if you take Game 1. The home team winning, it's even better, 52-10 or 84% of the time. Game 1 is next. Chad Kruger opens with Nickelback next.